compare it to other words like fear, unhappy, unfair exchange, greed, unsustainable, and a lot of people look at another religion that they're not and think that that's somehow bad, perhaps because the religion itself suggests that they're good and others are not. But I want to distinguish between the ritual aspect of religions, like the repetitive stuff and the sort of maybe clothing styles and ways of speaking, and even languages it's a language barrier. I want to compare that to other things. Things like the actual substance of the religion, like the defining values. And as we know, part of my themes is avoiding premarital intimacy. It was also a theme of many Orthodox religions. And then what happened, you could argue, was people started to say that was not bad, or maybe not say it, but act it. They acted as if, and they're not willing to say it, but that premarital intimacy is okay, it's useful, it's necessary to choosing the right person. So I'm going to list a series of typical arguments against premarital intimacy. So I'm going to suggest some reasons why to avoid it, and then how. So the why is when you think of things in terms of world peace, like people who say, "Oh, you're being unrealistic," or prude, which is a compliment, because prude means prudent, which is having foresight into the up and coming possibilities and future of your life. And so what I'm saying is, what does the heaven on earth look like, right? What are the components of it? Do people engage in premarital intimacy when they in a heaven on earth type of situation? I would say certainly not. I'd say that they actually, the point is the only one thing that the reason that men do this, women do it too, but it's like men are generally the initiators. Rarely, like it's very masculine for somebody to approach someone, and then it shows that they don't want to be a feminine woman. And the trouble with that is that it means that they don't want a masculine man. It's okay if you've decided that, yes, this is the way I want to go. But so that's something to think about. But the point is so it's going to be mainly men avoiding it, and what they do, the trick to avoiding it is masturbation, self-intimacy. And I've noticed that a lot of channels have become popular that discourage masturbation, as if it's some type of thing where you're losing your energy. But I mean, honestly, are you? It's like it's the real problem is people unwilling to experiment. Because if you experiment and you find that it makes life more enjoyable, like what's the point of not being able to have orgasm experiences and have sex with yourself and wait all that whole part of your life, be it 20 years, 30 years, until you get married? Like, why would you neglect that? Some people say that, oh, it wakes up the lust. It's like, dude, you're gonna have that lust in you, and that's the whole point of post-nut clarity. But the real contention I have is people who say that they, disagree with it, but they're not even willing to experiment. And it's a safe thing. It's like, it doesn't harm anyone if you experiment with, actually trying to have self-intimacy. Now, yes, there may be the negative karma of pornography consumption, but there's so much out there. It's proliferated, and people put it out there of their own free will. So, and maybe there are those who don't. Maybe are those who are maybe desperate for money, and they men or women, and they do it for money. Now, that's an issue. In the future, my hope is people will be doing couples pornography, and they can come up with like playful, things they say, like what do you call them? Fantasies, like, oh, your brother-in-law or the one cheats on the spouse, and it's or like massage therapy session goes too far. It's all like the fantasy of it. The reality is people are more into worshiping penis than vulva. That's part of the issue as well, another layer. And you'll see this as an example. Just if you Google the Drake rapper, he was wearing the shirt that says "Wait till you see my blank," inferring that with an arrow pointing on his shirt down towards his privates. It's like that actually says a lot. It says that he wants to bring attention to penis in general. And which I don't get is if he's a homosexual man, or bisexual, then, but then it comes into question of, if these people think they're so great, and and this idea of success with women, or ability to attract a woman or a man, it's like, if you are that, then you should have someone who's willing to commit to you for life. And so I think what happens is people depend on other things as a synthetic substitute for a spouse. Like, they depend on their money to be able to tip and maybe have people treat you really well, or just, use alcohol as a way to feel good. And all of that, it's not the real thing. It's not the authentic experience of a husband and wife. So that's a bunch of whys. Now let's talk about how to avoid premarital intimacy, besides the obvious, the masturbation aspect. When a person has decided on the whys that they definitely want to avoid it, they want to be able to have the truer connection with their spouse, which, like a pleasure and but shared in a way that's healthy and wholesome. Here's the process. So you decide, okay, yes, I'm ready for a certain relationship, and then a certain kind of marriage. And part of that is going to be, if you're a man, part of that's going to require you to want to be a breadwinner, so your wife can enjoy either raising kids and or being, doing things. Like, people don't realize, like, it's all of the, are you going to pay someone to do the household duties and cook homemade meals, and then pay the government or somebody to teach and watch the kids? Or do you want your wife doing that? Because the wife and you have these unique values, and if you want to perpetuate those into the future of what you see, what you want to see in the world, then yeah, it's going to require you to have to make it happen. So that's the point number one, is okay, how do you do it? Well, masturbate and prepare. And by prepare, it means avoiding premarital intimacy, because if you're not doing that, then you're not actually doing the work of getting ready. Like, what do you have to do to get ready? Well, you have to figure out your business. You have to figure out your savings. If you get your emotions together and your life in order. All that, it's like this process. And any premarital intimacy is basically a guy. Why would you pay for, a woman's food, or anything, if you, unless you really wanted them to, unless they were your actual spouse. See? Like, why would you? And then, so fast forwarding a little, so you approach someone, say, well, you don't even approach them yet. First, you exchange visual body language. You look at them and see if they're responsive in a favorable way. And if that's the woman kind of inviting over, like trying to look sexy, pose a little bit, smile, that's the woman. That's the first communication. Then you approach them, say, "Hey, what do what's your life like? My goal is to find a wife. Are you, what's your goal?" And then, a little conversation like that, and then, but the point is as a man, it's not only you deciding that you're ready. It's and that you can play a role of husband, but it's like you have to look at the woman and perceive, is she ready too? And that includes, is she, if you want to have kids, is she healthy, and does she look like she could have, healthy kids with genetics that you'd like to manifest into the world? When you look at her, do you think, hey, I'd like to, give her oral sex? And do you think of do you think of, does she pass through mental screenings that you have of like checklists? And during your initial conversation, you might start off by hinting, like, do you have, like, what's your some of your religious values, or like favorite, things that are essential to a person's life, things like that are going to make you want to good move. I'm happy with what I said there. Obviously, there's more at shieldheart.org. But if there are questions, my goal is to create some answers. And if I don't have them, I'll research them, or maybe you have them. The whole goal is we're making it work, guys. But the question is how. And then, you want to maybe you could tell her, hey, look at my social media, see what you think. If you like it, then message me back. And that way it starts the process. And then but you also want to allude to the ideas of, talking about, their parents, and, that you want to know what your parents think of you. So maybe what you should do is you should have them, ask them to, hey, come check out, have your parents, look at and talk about it with your parents. And then the big thing is you want to do the opposite of what, like, seductive, manipulative men do, which is try to get their phone number or stuff like that. Like, you really want to put it into their court, where you're not trying to go on a date. You can even say that, you're trying to okay, guys, I'm about to get off the stream here. I've got stuff to do. I'm feeling good about what I've shared so far. but there is more to share, more to do. So let's talk soon. Okay, let's say aloha.